And what happens if you actually accomplish that goal? We are now the biggest. We can shut our doors. We're done. Martin Luther King, he understood vision. I have a dream, he said, that one day little black children will hold hands on the playground with little white children. You can see that. You can imagine that in your mind's eye. And if that's the kind of world you want to live in, if that's the kind of world that inspires you, you set your sights on achieving that vision, and you start doing the things that takes us closer and closer to it. And every milestone we pass makes us feel like we're making progress, and we will continue until the day we die. That's called vision, and that is inspiring. Now, as amazing as dopamine is, and it really is amazing, and what makes us accomplishment machines, it comes with a warning. If left unbalanced, it can be highly addictive. Here are some other things that release dopamine. Alcohol, nicotine, gambling, your cell phone. Think about how gambling works, right? We all know what the apple tree in the distance looks like. It's crystal clear. 3 sevens. Hit 3 sevens, get rich. And so what do? We perform a behavior that takes us closer to the thing that we can see. We put a coin in the machine and we pull the handle. And you get 1 7. And you get a shot of dopamine that says, keep going, nearly there. So you put another coin in the machine, you pull the handle, and you sort of get the bottom of 1 7 and the top of another 7. Keep going. And then you have that experience where you have 1 7, 1 7, and half a 7. You're like, oh, just missed it. Keep going. Except it's not you versus nature, or you versus yourself, or you versus the competition. It's you versus casino, and it's a rigged game. They've literally hijacked our internal reward system to get us to repeat behavior that is not in our best interest. If we got 0 sevens, 0 indications of progress, we would either think the machine was broken, or we'd go looking for another machine because this one's no fun. Remember, dopamine feels good. Our cell phones are the same. Yes, we all hate all the email we get. Absolutely true. What we love is the bing, the buzz, the flash, the beep. Oh my God. It's so good. And if left unbalanced, we can actually become addicted to that dopamine release when we get a bing, a buzz, a flash, or a beep. How else could you explain if you're feeling a little down or a little depressed? You send out 10 texts hoping to get one back. Because it feels good when you get one. How else can you explain why you feel the need to carry your phone from room to room in your own home? How else could you explain that when you have to go to the bathroom, you hold it in so you can find your phone? This is not in your best interest. You're laughing because it's true. How else can you explain when you're driving in your car and your phone goes buzz or beep, you have to pick it up now, you can't wait 10 or 15 minutes, and it says, do you want to have dinner next Thursday? And you can't wait 10 or 15 minutes to reply, you have to reply now. It's because we are addicted. And the problem with all addictions is that in time, you will waste time, you will waste resources, and you will destroy relationships. I can prove it. Can I borrow someone's phone, please? I know you have to. She's freaking out. This is what you call withdrawal. What if I were to hold my phone right now? I should take a picture for you. There you go. Okay. That's just me being annoying. What if I were to hold my phone while I was talking to you? I'm not checking it, it's not buzzing, and it's not beeping. I'm simply holding it. Do you feel like you are the most important thing to me right now? No, you do not, and this is an artificial environment. Now imagine when you're walking down the hall, or you're at home, or at the office, whatever, and somebody says, hey, can I ask you a question? You go, sure, what's on your mind? They don't feel like they're the most important thing right now, and so you go like this. Sure, how can I help? And simply removing the device, it has a subconscious effect that actually makes people feel important. And if you don't have a pocket, I do this all the time, if you don't have a pocket, just go like this. Put it on the side and come back and say, sure, what's on your mind? And when we go out for dinner, what do? When we have a meeting, we put the phone on the table, and we're saying to people in the meeting or at dinner or at lunch, oh, by the way, you're not the most important thing to me right now. And putting the phone upside down is not more polite. This is my favorite one. When it rings and they look over to see what the caller ID says and they go, I'm not getting this one. So magnanimous, right? Thank you. You can have your fix back. There's a subconscious reaction to those devices, but because we're so addicted to it, we're so preoccupied with getting our own hit, the discomfort we have when it's not near us, it actually has a really, really negative effect on our friends and our relationships and our families. And this is important because this is the problem with endorphins and dopamine. They're selfish. You don't need anyone's help to get them. Go for a run, do some exercise, go through your to-do list, accomplish your goals, and you will feel good. But the problem is the feelings come in hits. The feelings do not last. If you worked out this morning and got a good endorphin rush, that feeling is gone. That's why you have to work out again. Remember, this is about repetitive behavior so that we'll find food. And dopamine. Remember that goal you hit a year ago, that amazing sense of accomplishment? Yes! That feeling is gone. That's why you have to accomplish something else. And if left unbalanced, we can actually create environments in which we become completely addicted to dopamine. If the primary means by which we reward behavior is hit the goal, get the bonus, hit the goal, get the bonus, hit the goal, get the bonus, we can literally create a culture in which the people inside the organization are addicted to making the numbers. They can literally become addicted to performance. This happened in some of our investment banks, or even with some individual athletes, where all they care about is winning, and the numbers, and they will beg, borrow, and steal, they will cheat, they will stab each other in the back. It does not matter what they have to do to get their next hit of dopamine. It is just like any other addiction. That's why we have the other two chemicals. The other two chemicals are the selfless chemicals. They require other people to get them. They're the chemicals that make the circle of safety. They're the chemicals of trust and cooperation. They are what make us human. The first one is called serotonin. It's the feeling of pride. It's the feeling of status. It's the leadership chemical. There are many healthy ways to get serotonin. One of them is this: public recognition. This is why events like this are important. It's not just the people standing on the stage. It's you guys. And when we hear our names called out in public, it makes us feel good. I'm sure at multiple times throughout this event, people will be singled out for their contribution or their achievements. Can we all give a round of applause for Stacy, please? Stacy, no, it's hypothetical. I'm sure all the Stacys in the audience are feeling really good right now. Because it's an amazing feeling when in a public forum, we hear our names called out, singled out for recognition. It makes the serotonin flow. We feel valued and valuable by the tribe, and we feel good. That's how college graduation works. Think about commencement. What is the point of commencement? It's just a big waste of money and time. Oh no, it's not. Not for social animals. Think about what it takes to graduate college. Technically, all you need to do is fulfill your minimum requirements, pay your bills, and collect enough credits. That's basically it. They could just send you an email that says, congratulations, you graduated. Enclosed, please find a PDF of your diploma. P.S. Magna cum laude. The accomplishment is exactly the same. It just wouldn't feel so good. So instead what we do is we invite our friends, and our families, and our teachers, all of those who sacrificed for us so that we may achieve something great, and we invite them for a big public recognition ceremony. That's all it is. And that young college graduate that hears her name called out publicly, the serotonin starts to flow, and she feels good. She feels valued and valuable by the tribe. She feels her status rise. She feels proud. And as she walks across that stage, and the moment she grabs that diploma, she gets a huge surge of serotonin, and she feels fantastic. Her self-confidence rises even. Serotonin is very closely tied to self-confidence as well. And here's the best part. At that exact moment, her parents, sitting in the audience, also get a surge of serotonin and also feel proud. What serotonin is attempting to do is reinforce the relationship between parent and child, coach and player, leader and follower, employee and employer. The one who is willing to sacrifice so that I may gain, and the one who is the recipient of that sacrifice. That's why, yes, we can incentivize people to work hard and do more, but it doesn't last, and it gets expensive after a while, and eventually it feels pointless, and we don't understand the reason for it. We run out of steam, and it no longer has the same effect as it did at the beginning. But when we feel that someone believes in us, and someone says to us, I believe in you, I got your back, I know you're capable of even more than you think you are, and I'm going to help you do it. When we feel that, we're willing to give our blood and sweat and tears to them out of gratitude. We want to prove to them that their belief in us, that their sacrifice in us was worth it. We will work hard because we want to make them proud. It is biologically accurate. The reason I call it the leadership chemical is simply a matter of history. For 40,000 of the 50,000 years that we've been on this planet, we lived in populations that were never bigger than about 150 people. This presents a bit of a practical problem. These are resource-constrained times, we're all hungry. Someone brings some food back to the tribe, dumps it on the ground, and we all rush in to eat because we're all hungry. If you're lucky enough to be built like a football player, you can shove your way to the front of the line. If you're the artist of the family, you get an elbow in the face. This is a bad system. Because the odds are that if you punch me in the face this afternoon, I'm probably not going to wake you and alert you to danger tonight. Bad system. And so we evolved into hierarchical animals. We're constantly assessing and judging each other. Who's alpha? Who's dominant in the hierarchy? And when we assess that someone is higher than us in the hierarchy, we voluntarily step back and allow our alphas to eat first. Alphas get first choice of meat and first choice of mate. And though I may not get to eat first, I will be guaranteed to get food and I don't get an elbow in the face. Good system. To this current day, nothing has changed. We are perfectly comfortable showing preferential treatment to those that we perceive as alpha to us. And sometimes that ranking is formal. If you work in an organization, there's a formal hierarchy. We know who's more senior than us. And sometimes it's informal. We're constantly assessing and judging each other based on any number of social criteria, who we perceive as higher. It's a relative system. That's why guys always do this in bars, right? Because they want to show that they're alpha, right? Because it's attractive, supposedly. Right? And when we perceive, thank you very much. And when we perceive that someone is alpha, like I said, we defer to them. But like I said, no one is a problem with this. Not a single person in this room has any problem with the fact that someone who outranks you at work, somebody more senior than you at work, makes a higher salary than you. You may think they're completely ineffective, but the fact that somebody more senior makes more money bothers no one. It bothers no one that somebody more senior has a bigger office or a better parking space. In fact, sometimes we come to expect it. Can you imagine if the President of the United States had to carry his own luggage? What? He's the President, for heaven's sakes. We can't find someone to carry his luggage. I will do it. It would be an honor. And sometimes we find ourselves doing quite menial labor in support of those we perceive as alpha, quite happily. Check it out. In fact, I'll promise you, imagine you were to get up and walk out right now, and as you were to walk out, Steven Spielberg walks in, and you hold the door open for Steven Spielberg. I guarantee you will go home tonight and tell your friends or your family or your spouse, you'll be like, you'll never believe what happened today. I held the door open for Steven Spielberg. How come you don't advertise when you hold the door open for anybody else? That's what it's all about. We're hierarchical animals, and we're constantly assessing and judging each other. This is why no one's ever turned down a promotion, because it comes with perks. You get more money. They call you sir and ma'am. You get a bigger office, a better parking space, upgrades. People bring you tea and coffee without you even asking, and they call you sir. And it's just awesome. It's fantastic. It's good to be the king. It's good to be the queen. However, none of those perks come for free. As a general in the Marine Corps explained to me, the cost of leadership is self-interest. You see, the group is not stupid. We don't give all of those perks and advantages to our alphas for nothing. There is an expectation. The group expects that when danger threatens the tribe, that it's the person who's actually stronger, actually smarter, actually better fed, actually more confident from all the serotonin flowing through your veins from all the deference that we show you. When danger threatens the tribe, we expect that the stronger, smarter, better fed, more confident person will rush towards the danger to protect us. That's why we gave you first choice of mate, because you might die first and we want to keep your genes in the gene pool. Not stupid. It's a balanced equation. Yes, you will get huge perks. Yes, it is good to make your way up through the ranks. Yes, it's fantastic to be #1. However, it comes at a cost, and it's the willingness to sacrifice your interests for the lives of others. That's what leadership is. Leadership has nothing to do with rank. Leadership is a responsibility. Leadership is not about being in charge. Leadership is taking care of those in your charge. And just as you would feed your children before you feed yourself, so too does a leader feed their people before they feed themselves. That's the deal. And when the people feel that you would sacrifice your interests for our lives, we will reward you with our love and our loyalty. And we will offer you our blood and sweat and tears to see that your vision comes to life. If, however, we feel that you would sacrifice us to protect your interests, then we will reward you with paranoia, cynicism, self-interest, and mistrust. And we will spend our time protecting ourselves from you instead of helping you face the dangers and seize the opportunities. This is why so many people have visceral contempt for some of the banking CEOs and their disproportionate salaries and bonus structures. It has nothing to do with the money. It has to do with the fact that they have violated the very anthropological definition of what it means to be a leader. We know that they allowed their people to be sacrificed so they could keep their bonuses and their salaries. Or worse, they chose to sacrifice their people to keep their bonuses and salaries. This is what we find so reprehensible. It's not the money. Did you know that if you win the Nobel Peace Prize, they give you $1.5 million of free money, no strings attached. You can go buy a fleet of Ferraris if you want. Does anyone here have a problem with somebody who's given the Nobel Peace Prize being given $1.5 million of free money? No, we do not. Does anybody here have a problem? What if we were to give Nelson Mandela a $150 million bonus? Anybody got a problem? Mother Teresa, $250 million. Anybody got a problem with that? No, we do not. We have no problem with bestowing great perks and advantages on our leaders when we know that our leaders would sacrifice those things for us. This is what leadership is. I know many people who sit at the highest levels of an organization who are not leaders. They have authority, and we do as they tell us because they have authority over us, but we would not follow them. And I know many people who sit in the middle of an organization that have no authority, and yet they've made a choice. A choice to look after the person to the left of them, and a choice to look after the person to the right of them. And we would follow them anywhere. We're constantly evaluating the words and actions of both individuals and organizations, trying to assess whether they're selfish or selfless. And we are very, very good at it. Almost all human behavior is governed by our desire to feel safe. And so we're good at figuring out if someone's lying to us. We get weird feelings like, I know that everything on paper looks good, I just get a weird feeling about it. We're incredibly good at it. You can trick us once, you can trick us twice, but after a while we get cynical. It's because our bodies are trying to protect ourselves from somebody who might do us harm. Can you imagine if we were to give an award to somebody who is the top performing person in the entire organization? It doesn't matter what the metric is, but they are ranked #1. And so we have a big public forum like this, We call out their name, the serotonin flows, they come out to receive their award, they get to say a few words, and they say, I deserve this. I am the best. You are very lucky to have me. Now, empirically, every single one of those statements is true. They are the best, they do deserve it, and we are lucky to have them. But if they were to actually say those words, we would hate them. Intellectually, you would think it's a good idea to align yourself with someone who's the best in the organization, but we wouldn't. Because as human beings, almost all of our behavior is governed by our desire to feel safe, and we would assess that that person is selfishly driven, selfishly motivated, and so we would actually prefer to keep a safe distance. We would prefer to align ourselves with a more average performer that we can trust over a top performer that we can't trust. This is why leadership matters. Leadership is a choice. That's all it is. It is the choice to take care of the lives of another person that are in your charge. That's what it is. It is a daily practice. You do not become a leader simply by making big decisions on difficult days, even if you make the right decision. Leadership is a daily practice. All that means you made a big decision on a difficult day. Congratulations. Leadership is a daily practice. For example, you're driving to work, and somebody wants to cut into your lane. What do? Do you pull up, or do you pull back? That's leadership. Oh, well, they're trying to cut into the lane. I don't know. Maybe they're running late. Maybe this is their big job interview, and they left the house late because their kid was crying, and now they have to make up time, so they're trying to cut into the lane. Or maybe they're just an ass. I don't know. What makes us the sheriff? And so we pull back and we let them in. That's called leadership. I know. You'll have to get to work 1 car length late. You're standing in an elevator. You're running late for a meeting. The doors start to close and you see someone running towards the doors. What do? We've all done it. We've all done it. I've had it happen where I was the one running and there was a woman standing in the elevator. And at that exact moment, she had to look for her lipstick. As if I wasn't there. Guilt-free. Slam. Leadership is when we go like this. And when we show up to the meeting late and somebody says, where were you? Say, I was doing something for someone. That's what leadership is. Leadership is when you ask someone how they're doing and you actually care about the answer. Don't ask people if you don't care. You're running to a meeting or something, maybe you're even running late, and you say to somebody, how are you doing? Not good? I'll talk to you in a bit. If you're going to ask the question and they say not good, congratulations, you are standing there and you will listen. And if you're thinking about the meeting, you should have just left. Leadership is these kinds of sacrifices of time and energy. That's what leadership is. It's a choice. It's a daily practice. The problem with leadership is it's like exercise, is you can't measure it on a daily basis. I have no way to tell you if you're being a good leader on a daily basis. However, we've all been to a well-led organization that you can see that is well-led immediately. In other words, it's very easy to measure over time. So it's like going to the gym, right? You go to the gym, you come back, you look in the mirror, and you see nothing. You go to the gym the next day, you come back and you look in the mirror and you see nothing. Worse, you're in pain. And so empirically you say to yourself, I see no benefit or value from the effort that I'm spending, and I'm hurting, I quit. It's very easy to quit. But it's an act of faith. We know that if we just stick with this, it will work. It's like parenting. You don't see any daily benefit from what you do as a parent. You just stick with it, you try and do the right thing, and it will work. Leadership is the same. It's an act of faith. You just stick with it, you do the right thing, and it will work. How long does leadership take, Simon? I have no clue. That's the other problem. I don't know. How long does it take for exercise to work? I don't know. I know it takes more than a week. But I know that if you've been doing the same thing for a year and see no results, you're probably doing something wrong. The problem is I don't know where it works. However, I do know that if you stick with it, the pain goes away. I know that the weight gets lighter. I know that the exercise gets easier. I know that you start to enjoy it. I know you start to crave it. And I know that people start to notice. And it's the coolest thing when people notice even before you do. Have you been working out? Actually, Are you on a leadership journey? How did you recognize that our culture is so much better? Yes, I am. Yes, I am. And leadership, like exercise, you cannot do alone. It is hard work. It takes unbelievable discipline. There are short-term setbacks. It is unmotivating sometimes. Sometimes it just sucks. It's impossible to do by yourself, which is why you go on the journey with someone. It's why to exercise with a coach matters so much more. Because you want to make them proud. You want to prove to them that their sacrifice and belief in you is worth it. It's the same thing. And things start to get amazing. The problem is they make movies about bad leaders. People who walk in and they bark orders and everybody goes up to and everybody does what they say. Great movies, bad leaders. They don't make movies about good leaders. Marshall or Bradley, there's no movies about them. Do you know why? Because their organizations are boring. You walk into their organization and everybody just kind of gets along and everything just kind of gets done. There's no politics and there's no gossip and it kind of just goes fine. That's what a well-led organization looks like. There's no fireworks. It's not that exciting. It's kind of boring. Where's the boss? Don't know. We're good. We take care of things without her. It's all good. That's what a well-led organization looks like. Goes fine. Feels good. And every single one of us has the ability to be the leader we wish we had. And it's simply a choice. It requires practice and discipline and hard work and a friend to help us guide us through it. Oxytocin. Oxytocin is everyone's favorite chemical. I love it. It is the feeling of unicorns and rainbows. It's all the mushy stuff. It's love and friendship and flowers. It's why we love spending time with our friends. You go to the movies with your friends, you sit in a dark room and you exchange no words, and yet we would rather do that than go by ourselves. It's because we enjoy the company of our friends. That's just how it works. We feel safe when we're with people that we know, that we like. That's why we leave empty seats at the movies, because sitting next to strangers is scary. Can you imagine going to the movies and there's an empty row and there's just one other couple sitting in the row and you walk all the way in and sit right next to them? And they're going to be like, you want to move down? Because strangers are scary. Or if you went to the movie with a friend and they go into the aisle first and sit down and you sit one seat away from them. They're going to look at you and be like, what's your problem? We want to be near the people we know. We want to be near the people we like because it makes us feel safe. Because it means that if danger's coming from that direction and I'm looking in that direction, you'll let me know. That's what's happening. I guarantee that almost every single person in this room chose who you're sitting next to. We sit next to the people we like. We sit next to the people we know. We sit next to the people we work with. Because it feels much better to sit next to someone we know than someone we don't. And if you came here by yourself and you don't know anyone, whoever you stood in line for breakfast this morning, that's your buddy. So, you come here? Yeah, you want to sit together? Sure. You are with them for the entire time. Because better someone who's a little familiar than completely unfamiliar. It's just human being stuff. That's just how we do things. It's just biology. There are many, many healthy ways to get oxytocin. One is this magical thing here. It's called human touch. That's why our children are always touching us, and it's very important for us to hug our children, because it makes them feel safe. What do you do when someone's having a hard time, or gone through something difficult, or is depressed or struggling? Don't worry. Don't worry. You will get through this. Don't worry. We don't go, don't worry, you'll get through this, don't worry. Kind of screwed up, kind of weird. Human touch, right? Let's say you're about to sign a deal with someone, and you go, oh my God, I'm so excited to work with you. And they go, I'm so excited to work with you too, but I don't need to shake your hand. And you go, but I'm really excited to do business with you. And they go, me too, let's just sign this contract and let's start. You think business is about terms and agreements. No, it's not. It's human beings looking for other human beings around whom they feel safe. And someone's simple refusal to shake your hand means one of two things will happen. You will either walk away from the deal, or you'll go into the deal with doubt. That's what this means. That's why we're so willing to do a handshake deal without a contract, but we would never do a contract without a handshake. Human. In fact, I'm watching all of you. I asked for the house lights to be turned up. I can see you. And I know that when I said you're probably sitting next to somebody you chose to sit next to, I'm watching. You guys go like this. You go. You'll start touching each other. Because all I did was recognize the existence of the relationship, and you reinforced it with a little oxytocin. When I started giving this talk, I didn't even know that that happened. Just every time I would say, you probably chose your person you're sitting next to, everybody would just start doing this. I'd be like, what is going on? Like, it happened the first time, I thought they were just a friendly bunch. And then it happened every single time. I'm like, oh, reinforcing. That's what's happening. Human touch is a magical thing. There are other healthy ways to get oxytocin. Another one is from acts of kindness, acts of generosity. An act of kindness or generosity is defined as giving of your time and energy with no expectation of anything in return. Sorry, money doesn't count. What if I told you that before I came out here, I went online and I gave $500 to charity? What would you think of me? You'd be like, good for you. But what if I told you that last weekend, I gave up my Saturday and I went and painted schools in the inner city? Then what would you think of me? You'd be like, nice, cool, yeah, I should do more, right? The value of my labor was worth a lot less than $500. $500 could pay many more people to paint many more schools. But as human beings, we put a premium on those who are willing to give away a non-redeemable commodity. We make money, we spend money, we waste money, we make more money, whatever. Time and energy, once you spend it, there ain't no getting it back. We've all had the experience where you're sitting in a meeting and you think to yourself, I will never get this time back. Some of you are sitting here right now thinking, I will never get this time back. I'm sure there's a chemical. I love you too. You're feeling the serotonin, it feels so good. And so when someone gives us their time and energy, it feels amazing. When someone says to us, I got your back. When someone says, I believe in you, it feels incredible. And it makes us feel love and loyalty in return. When someone stays late to show us how it's done, when someone has to run, you know they're running late for a meeting, but when they ask you, how you doing, and they said, I'm not doing so good, and they stayed and they listened. When someone shows us empathy, let me give you an example of what empathy looks like. Usually, when someone's struggling, we go into their office and say, listen, we've had this talk 3 times already, and your numbers are down again. If you don't pick up your numbers, I don't know what I can do for you. And how hard do you think they're going to work after that? We've just filled it with fear. Empathy means, hey, listen, we've talked about this already. Your numbers are down a 3rd time in a row. Are you okay? Is everything all right? I'm worried about you. That's what empathy looks like. And when somebody feels that we actually care about their well-being as a human being, they will respond with love and loyalty and trust and gratitude. I'll give you an extreme example, but it's a true story. There's a company in St. Louis called Barry Waymiller. They're an amazing company. They're a human company, like the one I imagined that there would be more of. They caught one of their employees padding their expense reports. Technically, this is a crime. Technically, it's theft. And the HR person went into their office and said, we found that you've been padding your expense reports. And in any other company, they would say, get out. That would be expected. At Barry Wehmiller, they went into his office and said, we've discovered that you've been padding your expense reports. Are you okay? Is everything all right? What's going on? Turns out he was going through a really aggressive divorce and he'd run out of money that month, and he didn't have enough money to eat, so he put his meals on his company credit card. The fact that the company expressed concern for his well-being as a human being, he took full responsibility for his actions, expressed regret. They put him on a payment plan. They had no problem with him. That's called empathy. It takes time and energy, and sometimes there's short-term sacrifices, just like exercise, when we set ourselves on that leadership journey. But that's one of the ways we demonstrate concern, and it's one of the ways we make people feel good. Oxytocin. I was walking down the streets of New York, true story, and I was walking behind a guy, and his backpack opened, and a bunch of papers fell out on the floor. I didn't think much of it. I bent down and gathered the papers and pointed out that his bag had opened. A small act of generosity. I got a small shot of oxytocin and I felt good. It feels really nice when you do something nice for someone with no expectation of anything in return. The person on the receiving end also gets a shot of oxytocin. Thank you, he said. It feels really good when somebody does something nice for us with no expectation of anything in return. We've all had the experience where someone does something nice for us and then goes like this. And you're like, ah, you ruined it. Like all of that warmth and good feeling towards them like just evaporates. That was more for me than for you. But in this case, that wasn't what happened. I felt good because I did a small act of kindness with no expectation of anything in return. He felt good because someone did something nice for him. This is the best part. This is totally true. I get to the end of the block, waiting to cross the street, and a total stranger standing in front of me turns around and says, I saw what you did back there. That was really cool. As it turns out, witnessing an act of kindness or generosity releases oxytocin. And the more oxytocin we have in our bodies, the more generous we actually become. I guarantee you that that guy did something nice for somebody that day simply because he saw me do something nice for somebody that day. This is the biology of pay it forwards. This is the human body's desperate attempt to try to get us to look after each other. The reason it feels so good is so that we will do it again. We go see a movie where somebody sacrifices, or we hear a story of sacrifice, and we feel like we want to be better people after we hear these stories. This is the power of leadership. The reason we call you leader is not because you're at the top. The reason we call you leader is because you chose to go first. First into the unknown. First towards the danger. First to protect the people. That's why we call you leader. That's why we call you leader. And when somebody does that, their actions, their willingness to sacrifice their time and energy for us, we can feel it. And the more oxytocin we have in our bodies, the more we want to repay that generosity to our own team and even to our own boss. In the Marines, they have a tradition where the officers eat last. You can go to any Marine chow hall anywhere in the world, and when they line up for food, they line up in rank order. The most junior Marine eats first, the most senior Marine eats last. Now, it would be totally fine for the general to go first. He is the most senior person in the room, after all, and no one would have a problem with it. But they don't. Because the Marines view leadership not as a rank, but as a responsibility. And one of the funny ways it shows up is they line up in rank order. The most junior Marine eats first, the most senior Marine eats last. Just as you would feed your children before you feed yourself, so too do you feed those in your charge before you feed yourself. Oh. Did I say something wrong? Is my time up? The reason they do that is the same reason we feed our children before we feed ourselves. No one tells you you have to, it's your instinct. No one tells the Marines they have to, it's not in any rule book and no order is given. It's because of the way they view leadership. Here's a true story. A bunch of Marines were deployed, they were in Iraq, and it came time to eat. And as is their practice, the officer ate last. Except on this particular day, they ran out of food. And there was no food left for the officer, and the officer went hungry. And they went back out into the field, and one by one, each of his men brought him some of their food. Because this is the trick to great leadership. Officers never go hungry. When our people feel that we would sacrifice our interests for them, they will respond by sacrificing theirs to take care of each other and take care of us. If our people feel that we would sacrifice them to protect our interests, then they will sacrifice us, and they will sacrifice each other to save themselves. The leader sets the environment. That's why we call you leader. And here's the best part. Here's the best part. The more oxytocin you have in your body, the healthier you get. Oxytocin actually boosts our immune systems. Happy people actually live longer. People in relationships actually live longer than single people. This is a terrible thing for a New Yorker to find out. The more oxytocin we have in our bodies actually makes us less susceptible to all addictions. This is magical stuff. Unlike dopamine and endorphins, which you can get a hit of quickly, but then it leaves your body, the problem with serotonin and oxytocin is it takes time to build up. It does not happen instantaneously. And you have to do it again and again and again. It's like dating. It's like any relationship. Do you want to know that feeling? Here, I'll show you something really funny. I'll ruin dating for you right now. Do you ever go on a first date and you're like, oh my God, they're the one. This is crazy. I mean, you're amazing, okay? It's not serotonin or oxytocin, it's not love. It's dopamine. It's the feeling that you found the thing you're looking for. And it goes away. That's why 2 or 3 weeks in, you're like, what was I thinking? And that's the point. The real relationship takes time. The real relationship takes work, annoyingly. The real relationship takes sacrifice. And the feeling starts to build up. And it's not the big things. It's not remembering to buy them flowers on Valentine's Day or remembering their birthday. It's the little things. Leadership is about the daily practice of the little things. It's about waking up in the morning and saying good morning before you check your phone. It's about getting yourself a cup of coffee and not even asking. You just bring them one. Leadership is about watching TV, and your loved one sitting on the couch next to you says, can I talk to you? And you hit pause, you say, sure, honey, what's on your mind? Theoretically. That's what leadership is. That's what relationship building is. And if you do this over and over and over again, even though each one of those individual things does nothing, in total, they accumulate, and someone wakes up and says, oh my God, I love you. And you won't even know when it happens. Leadership is exactly the same thing. It is the sacrifice to take care of somebody because you care about them, you think they have potential, and you want to see them survive and thrive. The reason to become a leader is the same reason to become a parent. Think about it. Why does anyone bother having children? Right? I'd love to have kids. No. That's the fun part. Do you want to raise a child for 18 years? That's the question people don't ask. Leadership is the same. Getting the promotion, becoming #1, hitting the goal, exciting, fun. Not rank, not alpha, not leadership. Leadership is, do you want to commit yourself to taking care of someone else that you may see no results for years and years and years? And parenting comes a tremendous sacrifice. You have to stay up late and get no sleep, and you have to buy a Honda Odyssey. Nobody had posters of a Honda Odyssey on their walls when they were kids, and now you own one. Your house is a mess. You have vomit in your hair. Why would you do that? And the reason we become parents is because when you see your 4-year-old share with your 3-year-old, when you see your kid dance in a school recital, when your kid graduates, when the teacher calls up and says, your kid is amazing, when you see them get their first job, get their first boyfriend or their first girlfriend, when you see them get their first promotion,
all those sacrifices instantly feel completely worth it. We live for those moments. Leadership is exactly the same. The reason you choose to become a leader is because the joy you will feel of seeing someone in your team, seeing one of your clients, seeing someone that you've decided to serve, achieve more than they thought they could ever achieve themselves, is the most beautiful experience you will ever have. And all the sacrifices and all the hardship are instantly worth it. And by the way, they'll do the same thing for you. And if I were to ask them, why would you sacrifice for them? They'll all give me the same answer. Because they would have done it for me. Be the leader you wish you had.